What's going on, y'all? I'm coming back from Las Vegas with the disappointed of my Detroit Pistons. Not only losing in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals to the Cleveland Cavaliers, but basically getting the brakes beat off of them. So we're going to go to the first take and listen to how Stephen A. Smith, Kendrick Perkins, and Jay Williams feel the season went for the Detroit Pistons. Was it a disappointing season for the Detroit Pistons? Or was it a great season for the Detroit Pistons? Let's listen.
Consider this season a disappointment for the Pistons, Stephen A.
Um, yes, because they didn't make the conference finals. They were the
Mm.
number one seed. They won 60 games. Major props to them or whatever. But I'm just talking about their expectations. Once we saw what we saw, particularly from Cade Cunningham emerging as a league MVP candidate. It's not that the end. It's not that the result, meaning losing the series, was a disappointment. It's how they went out on your home court in a game 7, down by damn near 40. That's the disappointment. That's where it
Mm-hmm.
comes in because it reminded us of what their deficiencies are. We got to give credit where credit is due to JB Bickerstaff, who was my coach of the year. You don't have Malik Beasley because of personal reasons he got himself into. You lose Dennis Schroeder, of course, Tim Hardaway Jr., and you're looking at Cade Cunningham, and you really didn't have a bona fide secondary scorer.
Well, with losing Schroeder, to me, it kind of hurt because Schroeder actually wanted to come back. I'm not sure if Tim Hardaway Jr. wanted to come back or not, but Schroeder wanted to be here. And they just pretty much let him walk. Luckily, they found another ball handler to kind of help Cade out somewhat in the two-way player, the rookie Dennis Jenkins, who ended up getting a full contract because he played well even when Cade was out. But still, we needed it would have helped to have another veteran ball handler out there, especially in the beginning of the playoffs. Because in the beginning of the playoffs, when Dennis Jenkins played, he struggled. Now he got better as he got a few more games in, but he struggled.
We saw it in the previous series against Orlando when Tobias Harris showed up and really showed out. But that wasn't the case for him against Cleveland. Jalen Duran and these boys we didn't see, but so much from them as well. And Detroit appeared extremely limited. So you almost feel like, listen, the better team won the series. Cleveland is obviously offensively is a better opponent than the Detroit Pistons, and you got to say that for sure. I'm just looking at it from the standpoint. It was a successful season, no doubt, to win 60 games to get to Game 7 of the conference semifinals. But the flip side to it is that seventh game, how you ended it, getting
Mm-hmm.
blown out on your home turf like that, it just shows you how deficient Detroit really was, and that was where the disappointment lied. Nothing, not in anything else, just in that.
I agree with that it was a successful season, but the way they went out it hurts. It hurts because it felt like, well, I saw in the very beginning of the game that they just weren't sharp. They were missing easy shots, missing an alley oop dunk, missing out on fast break opportunities with wild passes. This is all in the beginning of the game or within the first few minutes. So they missed a lot of offensive opportunities because they just weren't sharp. They weren't crisp like that. And it was kind of weird to see because I thought they would be on their game for it to be a game 7 because anytime their back was against the wall this year, they showed up. I don't know what happened and why tonight, it'll be New York and Cleveland instead of New York and Detroit in game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. But man, the way my boys went out was rough to watch.
I think it was a great season for the Detroit Pistons. Seriously, all across the board. For a few reasons that you just alluded to, Stephen. That you just talked about them losing Malik Beasley, Dennis Schroeder, Tim Hardaway Jr. Dennis Jenkins was on a two-way contract up until the middle of the season. And I think about this team. I look at this team and I look at how Minnesota Timberwolves used to look before they went to the conference finals. You remember when they were trying to get it together? And this is where you have to start leaning and trusting your player development, right? Because think about Jaden McDaniels when he first hit the playoff stage, right? He was a hell of a defender, but offensively he had to work on his game. So Thompson, take notes, right? All of a sudden you look at Jalen Duren. Now all of a sudden you can have these accountability moments, even from JB Bickerstaff, right? They're coming into next year. Hey, you know what we gonna do? We gonna have this 82 game season as like somewhat of a dress rehearsal for Jalen Duren. We're gonna feature him more in certain scenarios offensively, isolations. That way you build up going into the postseason. Because a lot of his points, majority of his points this year came off a lob, pick and roll action, pin down, slip, dunker spot, offensive rebounds. Jay, you know this. That's the easiest thing to take away in the postseason. So, but he's 22 years old. Like, I'm not harping.
People forget how young Jalen Duren is and how much potential he does have. And how much I actually do really like Jalen Duren. Kendrick says pay him. I say no. Because you say Detroit needed a secondary scorer. In the regular season, they had one in Jalen Duren, averaging 19 and a half. When you go from 19 and a half in the regular season to around 10 points a game, I understand lobs and stuff is the easiest thing to take away in the playoffs. But when you lose 9 points a game in the postseason and even play a game where you only had 2 rebounds, can't max them yet. Now, Kendrick was right. You use him and you feature him more next year because he can develop. And what people don't really know about Jalen Duren can actually shoot the ball from about 15 feet out or 15 feet in. He can actually make that shot. So the potential is there. And also around the rim, what people don't notice is Jalen Duren can finish with both hands. And he has pretty nice footwork. He actually does have post moves and he can dribble. So potentially you can use him in isolation situations and he can score on his own. We didn't see that in the postseason. So does he get a big contract? Yes, I believe you pay him. Do you give him a max? Not yet. He has to be a little bit better in the playoffs to get maxed out. If it's me, if it's my money. But it ain't. I ain't got nowhere near that money. Can y'all donate to my GoFundMe? Because I need some fucking bread. But a lot of people around the city will be pretty upset if JD got a max contract right now because we have under deficiencies, especially in the playoffs. I believe if we had Malik Beasley, it would have helped just to have another shooter on the floor at all times. I hate what happened to Jaden Ivey with his injury because I believe that even a Jaden Ivey on the floor, it will be way more effective than Kevin Huerter right now, who was hurt, and when he was hurt during the playoffs, and when he was healthy during the playoffs, wasn't really in a playoff rotation like that anyway. But you know what you have to do in the offseason. You got some work to do in the offseason. They're talking about player development, but you don't have to bring somebody else in here to help Cade.
Should he get paid? Yes, he should get paid. He should get paid every single penny, and you develop the hell out of him and Asua Thompson, and you just...
I believe you develop him, because I would like to keep him. But to pay him this contract? No.
I don't know what's going on today, but we running some like high level pick and roll today. Like twins out here, all Schwarzenegger.
I got a little floater. I had a little floater, Jay. I had a little floater.
I'm gonna go like this. I don't think it was a disappointing of a season for them. I think Detroit has accelerated their timeline. And I think Cleveland, SA, has exposed the exact point of where Detroit is in their evolution. Don't forget, 2 years ago, they had won 14 games.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, only 14 games. Last year, 44. This year, 60. Number 1 seed. We all love Mike Wilbon. He's the OG. Every time I see Mike, we end up breaking down basketball to a level that all of us think are like with the historians of basketball. He always says you got to start experiencing that scar tissue, that pain, and start paying your dues, right? Despair, getting to that point. And I think right now we're seeing Cade Cunningham exhaust a lot of his options. We're asking the right questions. Jalen Duren, who's the number 2? Who can slide into that spot? Tobias Harris. 5 points last night. He exceeded expectations with all the things that you guys just said. I think Detroit is well on their way. I think Cleveland got the best of them because, at the end of the day, they didn't have the endurance to get them over the hump. Well, I think Detroit has had one hell of a season.
They've had one hell of a season. I was just talking about how it ended, the manner in which it ended on their home turf. That's all I'm talking about, nothing else.
But even the way it ended kind of tarnishes the season to me, though, in a little way. If they would have just lost, I would have been able to accept that. But when your best player has to do everything, by the time you get to the Eastern Conference Finals, they wear down. Now, this was when their already was their second 7-game series. And he's had to do everything. He had to do the majority of the scoring. He has to set people up. He has to help rebound, and he had to had his part of defending 2 All-Stars in Harden and Donovan Mitchell. He had to guard them. It was just a lot, and Cade finally, along with the rest of the team, finally just wore down. But I do agree with the growing pains part because every championship team just about has to go through that. The Piston fans, you have to remember that before the 2014 won, they had a hell of a time with the New Jersey Nets 2 years in the NBA playoffs. Before the Pistons won, they had a hell of a time with the Celtics and the Lakers for a couple of years. Before the 89 and 90 team won. Chicago fans, y'all had a hell of a time with the Pistons before you guys finally won, and then you just kept winning. So I do agree with that. This is growing pains. But the thing is, what do you do now? Do you develop the players that you plan on keeping? And who do you add to help you put you over the hump? The 2014 added Rasheed Wallace. The 89-90 team added Mark Aguirre. And they had to give up Adrian Dantley, their leading scorer, to do it. But that's what they had to do. It's what you do this offseason. You see what your weaknesses are. Is who you pick up. And you might have to let somebody important go. Because to me, the only 2 people that you absolutely positively got to keep is Thompson. But he needs to develop an offensive game. And Cade. Pretty much everybody else can go. Really. Pretty much everybody else can go. And I really like this team. I like the camaraderie they have. These dudes all love each other. But somebody has to go, and you have to bring somebody in to actually really help put them over the hump. Thompson, Duren, you got some developing to do. But you guys can do it. Great season overall. Very disappointed with the way it ended, in my opinion, as a Detroit Piston fan. Let me know what y'all think about it, though. This is your boy, the Sports Dr. Spock, Mickey Coleman. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and let me know how y'all feel about the Pistons season. I think it was a success, because remember, like they said, 2 years ago, it was rough. It was rough. And that's going to be part of the growing pains, but they mastered the regular season growing pains now. They ain't even worried about whether they'll be a playoff team or not anymore. They pretty much know they can pretty much master the regular season. Now they got a little more playoff experience. Now they know how physical and how you can wear down in the playoffs when one guy has to do everything and he doesn't get the consistent help. Because the last 3 games, the help he was getting from Tobias Harris kind of went down. Yeah, I mean, it just did. But, you guys know what you need to work on. And I got the confidence that because of the character of some of the guys on this team, that they'll do it. I believe JD will get in the gym and, work on whatever he's missing from his game. I believe that they'll develop him and actually run more plays for him besides pick and roll, flash to the rim. And he did get a lot of his points on his own off the offensive glass. I believe he'll put all that together and he will be better next year in the playoffs. Thompson, you're going to have to come up with a complete offensive game. Although I've actually, from when you first started and even last year, your offensive game is actually, I've actually seen it get better, but you still need more improvement. It's your boy, the Sports Dr. Spock, Mickey Coleman. And I am gone for now. Peace out.